Welcome to my Worklight version 5 demonstration. You can see in front of me a normal Eclipse workspace, Eclipse Indigo, and I've been off to the Worklight website and I've pulled down the new version 5 plugin. That includes everything I need to be able to develop my app and run it on an internal Worklight server. And we can demonstrate some of the simulation and management capabilities right from within the workspace. I've also set up the Android SDK, and a couple of those SDKs are downloaded beforehand. We're not going to demonstrate those now, but this provides us with the basis for complete Worklight app development. We're going to go straight ahead and create ourselves a new Worklight application. So you can see we're going to use the hybrid application. We're not going to do any of the more advanced stuff in terms of customizing our own shell or anything like that. You can see that on this dialog box we have the option to include Dojo, Essential Touch, or jQuery. Now, the platform itself, Worklight, is very open and we can work with any of those. However, the IBM can only provide support for Dojo, as we have contributors to that open source project. That doesn't restrict the use of Essential or jQuery with Worklight, but our tooling focuses on the Dojo side of things. With the Worklight demo, I'm just going to go into that project. We can see a number of folders. There are a couple of important ones I want to highlight at this stage. Maybe somewhat obviously, there's the apps folder, and that's got the Worklight demo app that we're going to go and develop within there. We also have the adapters folder, and that is the server-side functionality. So there is a Worklight server where we can have an adapter that will provide us with connectivity to our back-end data sources. And the nice thing about the adapters, we're not going to look at them just now, but the adapters are written in JavaScript, and they allow us to provide a common way of securing access to that data and also managing the connectivity back to the data. So if I actually flip across there to the application deployment descriptor, this is created by default, we can see some of the options that are provided in there already. The Worklight server root URL is how our app finds its way back to the Worklight server. In there we've just got an environment variable, their local IP address, that is pulled from the Worklight server environment. We can tailor that to anything we want, and that's how the app can easily find its way back to the Worklight server and to the data without the app having to know anything about that. If I click on Add, we can see how we can go and tailor or different target environments. In this demonstration, we're just going to have an Android target, but you can see some of the others on there as well, such as iPad, iPhone, and some of them may be some more historical ones, Adobe Air and things like that. So we've set that up. We can manage our security settings from there, things like testing for app authenticity, checking our web resources, and checking that the app itself has not been hacked with the checksum there as well. So that should do for now in terms of the deployment descriptor. Some of the security sides of things is being able to say, okay, do we want to have this secured at all or not? We can check for security and startup, or the on-demand option is also very useful if we want to only check for security credentials when we actually need access to secured data. So let's close that down for now. I'm going to go into the common folder here, and I'm going to fire up our HTML file. So when we're developing a hybrid application, this is in HTML5, so we're in the world of normal CSS, so look and feel, images of course, and JavaScript for the logic there. We can see some important files that are provided by Worklight. Auth.js allows us to plug in our security challenges. Messages allows for internationalization. The Worklight demo app.js is a placeholder for where we can put our business logic. We can see a similar folder structure under Android. So if you remember, we created an Android target environment. It has the similar structure there, CSS, images, and JavaScript. We can override then the work that we do in the common folder. So we expect most of the common business logic, UI, lookout and feel, and so forth to go into common, but we can tweak this down at the Android level to include either specific functionality or look and feel for the Android environment. And of course, this would apply to the other platforms as well. Now, the Android folder also includes space for some native development if you wish to do native development as well. So Hybrid can provide some great power in there. So I've just opened up the HTML file there. Let me arrange my part on the right hand side. So we've come into the rich page editor here. The split plane view that I have before me here has a palette view where we can do some drag and drop, and we've got a code view there as well with HTML5. I personally like the layout to be more like this. So I'll just point out one of the important things. We're in the world of normal HTML5. Nothing particularly special here, but one of the methods I'll just highlight here is wlclient.init, and this shows an example of some of the Worklight APIs. The client init is doing the bootstrapping, it's doing a number of useful things for us. So it's actually going to check with the Worklight server when we start up the application. Is the app still enabled? Do we need to apply any security? Is there a new version for me even? And Worklight will check that and download a new version of the app if needed. So let's clear that out. What I'm going to do is set up a simple application structure, and you can see a number of Dojo widgets down the right hand side here. The important one for the demonstration here is the view, and the view effectively correlates to pages in an app. So we have, as I say, our palette over here on the left hand side, and what they've done really nicely with this WYSIWYG developer is actually provide some useful drop points. So insert into body content, which is exactly what we want to do. All I want to do here is have a placeholder with some headings and things like that. So Worklight demo as our heading. So if I click OK, then it's going to set up all the dependencies from Dojo point of view. It's going to set up my heading, and we're ready to go in something that looks a little bit iPhone-esque already. Now, in terms of development, we can actually try a few different form factors when we're in our preview mode here. I'm actually going to leave it as it is for now, and we'll come back to some of the simulation later on. So the next thing I think that we often need on these apps is the ability to have a tab bar and have some options in there. So again, we can see insert into view 0 below the heading. That's exactly what I want to do there as well. So we have a tab bar with one label on there. Let's go and maybe not too imaginatively set to about. And again, some quite useful toolbars there. Insert after. We're going to insert a new button in there. And for my little Worklight demo here, I'm just going to pretend that we've got some news that we want to share or something like that. So we've got a couple of buttons there. If I had more time, I would probably put some images in there and make them look a little bit prettier. But we're going to carry on ahead and maybe do a page for each of the About and News tabs. So we can see again the tab point is very helpful there. We want to insert into view 0 after the tab bar. This is going to, we'll give it a useful name, About page. This is going to be our default view. We don't need a heading because this is going to actually sit inside our original view. Nothing to see at the moment. I'll just create a couple of these pages. So insert into view 0 after view About page. That's exactly what we want to do with our news page. And what we've seen, we're developing a structure of our mobile app. You can look down the bottom left-hand side of our view, which is a container page, which includes both of the other two pages. Now we can actually set up the kind of connection between the tab there. You can't see the text, but between the page and the button. And so we know that when we click on those two buttons, it will go to the appropriate page now. What I like to do is actually work with some of the transitions. So we can see move to About page has been done for us by doing drag and drop, and we'll do a slide transition. It seems to be the way these things work. So a couple of slide transitions. So that's the basic structure of an app, really. I'm going to go to the About page. I'm going to put something in there so we can at least see that transition. Welcome to my Worklight demo application. And I happen to know that we've got an image that maybe we could put into there as well. Let's see if we can arrange that a bit differently. So if we maybe let's have a look at some styles and have it in the middle there. It's there or thereabouts. So. Okay, so the next thing we'll do, we'll go into the news page, and now with a more extensive demonstration, I think I'd be wiring this up to a real news feed that we can actually pull from the adapters that I was talking about earlier. But at the moment, I'll just put some placeholder information. Okay, so we've got a couple of pages. Let me see if I can just put something that makes it look a little prettier there. Great. So you can see a nice combination of the WYSIWYG palette and the text editor there. We're actually ready to go now. I'm going to go and save that. Next thing that's important to show you is how we do a build all and deploy. Let me kick that off and explain what that is doing. It's doing a couple of things. So first of all, it's doing a build, and so it'll take all the target environments, and in our case that means the Android one, and it will do a concatenation of any changes we've made at the Android level and the common folder itself. There's nothing specific we have in there. The next thing it will be doing, and this actually relies on the Android SDK itself, is building us an Android project. I'll just go back up a layer. We've got ourselves a Worklight demo app Android project. That's normal Android SDK content, so that we could go and run that as an application on their emulator. We don't need to do that now. We're going to look at some of the other Worklight functionality instead at the moment. The final thing that the build all and deploy has done is actually take our little app and upload it to the Worklight server console. So I'm just going to go over to that here. We can see the address is just pointing at localhost 8080 and then the console. So welcome to the Worklight console. We can see the apps that we have deployed. We will also see the adapters deployed in here as well. And we can see the various different versions of the apps we've got there and the various different targets of the app that we've got in there. This is not the place of this demo to discuss this, but this is where we can do things like the remote disable of the app and things like that. We are just going to go and have a look at the simulator. So this works nicely within the browser. We can see on the left hand side some of the different things that we can simulate, such as maybe taking a photo, what size and what picture. So we can play with some interaction there, same with the compass, and provide some data there as well. As I say, and as you saw, the app is very simple. So welcome to my Worklight demo application, and let's have some transition between the two panes. So very, very simple, but we've got the structure and app there, and effectively we can go and populate it with your data and so forth. The simulator is quite neat. We can look at some of the rotation of the devices, or maybe try some of the different setups there. So whether it's an iPad or whether maybe something a bit smaller like the iPhone as well. So we could go and test those different form factors very, very easily and go and see how they look on the different platforms. And that is really what I wanted to show you. The next steps would be to connect the app up to some data and probably demonstrate it within the emulator itself. But hopefully that gives you a view as to how to create an app very, very quickly with Worklight.